Now, moving to another important topic. With an estimated population of 21 million, Lagos, the commercial nerve center of Nigeria, is making a significant move towards a cleaner and healthier environment, especially due to the recent cholera outbreak that claimed many lives in the state. Likewise, the recent flood disaster. Meanwhile, this has debunked a viral fake news on social media stating that the state has reintroduced the monthly environmental sanitation, which is allegedly accompanied by movement restriction come July ending. Now, News Central's correspondent Bettina Nwelih sheds more light on the Cleaner Lagos agenda in this report.
2016, the Lagos state government discontinued its monthly environmental sanitation exercise. The decision followed a court case instituted by one Faith Okafor against the Lagos state government over her fundamental human rights violation on freedom of movement. The Court of Appeal in the state has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. However, indications suggest a potential reversal of this policy.
The move is okay. It will make Lagos clean. So it will stop all this putting waste inside quarter and, stop this flood in Lagos.
Oh, wow, okay. Torí a máa ń ṣe náà tẹ́lẹ̀ ìgbà tó dẹ̀ yá wọn ò tún ṣe mọ́. But a máa ń ṣe ní gbogbo ibi tí ò neat, gbogbo ẹ̀ máa padà neat. Gbogbo environment máa wà okay. Gbogbo ibi tí ò yẹ kí wọ́n máa dà dọ̀tí sí, tí wọ́n ń dà síbẹ̀. Gbogbo ẹ̀ máa tún wà okay padà.
As for me, I think I feel good about that because we really need it in this our environment.
8 years later, Tokunbo Wahab, the State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, announced that the State Executive Council is considering reintroducing the monthly environmental sanitation exercise. During the flag-off awareness campaign, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu expressed concern over the extensive littering observed in drains during his tour of some streets in Lagos Island. He emphasized the critical need for all residents to adopt responsible environmental practices to prevent potential disease outbreaks in the state. The governor also urged residents to prioritize environmental cleanliness in their daily lives.
The level of refuse, uncleanliness, untidiness that we have noticed even driving around this morning. And so we want to use this to start the advocacy and the conversation around how do we not only bring back environmental sanitation, but how do we ensure that we can improve the physical cleanliness on our environment. From next week Saturday and the Saturday after, we will be going out to demonstrate and to show to the citizens that we're serious about this. And when the effect of a statewide announcement will start, we will make that announcement in due course.
Behind me is an example of what the streets of Lagos State, Nigeria have become in recent times. Now, the Lagos State Governor and the Commissioner for Environment in Lagos State have hinted at bringing back the monthly environmental sanitation into the state. The environmental sanitation was stopped 8 years ago, and now they are bringing it back.
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
The new awareness campaign initiative could be linked to the recent floods in major parts of Lagos caused by incessant rains and the accumulation of waste across the state. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwelih.
What an insightful report there. I was more, I would say moved, but paid more attention when the woman who spoke in Yoruba was talking about how she wants the place to be cleaner again. It sounds like a prayer, and we're all saying amen here. But anyways, we're joined by News Central correspondent Bettina Nwelih, who compiled a report to help us discuss this better.
Thank you very much
Bettina,
for having me.
First question.
Yes.
In your own opinion, is Lagos clean?
Lagos is dirty. As a matter of fact, permit me to say Lagos is smelling. And I'm not even exaggerating, because even from the point where I did that report, it was oozing of urea. People have peed and peed and peed. Once you're passing there, you get a headache. Everywhere in Lagos is dirty. If we are not
I don't know why Blessings is laughing. if you're not, talking about
the passion she's using to express.
Because I mean, I'm on the streets almost every day, and I see these things. If it's not waste being improperly disposed, we are dealing with open defecation. We are dealing with men, just bringing out their genitals and peeing wherever and whenever. It's unbecoming and very, very sad to watch.
Before COVID, right, people used to wear nose masks.
Nose mask. I think they saved us a lot.
I didn't understand why until I started to wear nose masks before COVID. So there's COVID, the disease, and then there's the smell. So I honestly understand. But Bettina, we understand that Lagos is one of the largest and most populous cities in Africa. And like you've said, one of the most dirty as well. Yet it faces significant challenges with cleanliness and public health. So let's talk about waste management, right? You have done a number of reports about waste. And I said this before, that being in Lagos, when I came to Lagos, that's the first time the largest heap of
dump
trash is in Lagos. It feels like a Guinness, it's something Guinness should record.
We should just get a record
literally.
for it.
What is our plan? I would say plan because I don't think I've seen anything yet. So what is the hope or plan towards waste management?
I like the way you asked me like I'm the general manager of LASEPA or the Minister of Environment. But from the information that I have, the last discourse I had with the general manager of LASEPA, talking about the huge dump that you say is the largest that you've seen in your life, I think you're referring to the Olusosun dump site, and that's why it's huge. It's a dump site, which, according to the general manager of LASEPA, is ready to be decommissioned in a few years from now. Now, when this place is decommissioned, they intend to do a lot of things that I can't really, speak on right now, and then maybe build something else on it. Now, he did make mention, he gave an example of a certain place outside of the country where they had this dump site, but eventually when they were done and ready to, make good use of the place, they built a stadium on it. So irrespective of the fact that this place has been a dump site for years, we can still use that portion of land, to do things that will be beneficial. But we're talking about the now. And I feel like waste management is something that we still need to give more to. When I say we, I'm talking about the government, and I'm also talking about individuals. Now, the government's responsibility is to make sure that, there are availabilities for people to dispose their waste properly, which is why we have the likes of the PSPs and the others. But I remember a time in Lagos State where we had waste bins all around, even on the streets. Yeah. Now, when we have all of these put in place, it makes it easier for you to, penalize people who still don't want to grow up and act like adults. If you see a child disposing waste improperly, it's very easy for you to correct the person. But how do you correct a full-grown man or a full-grown woman? These are things that should be commonsensical. Nobody should tell you that when you're roasting corn as a source of living, you should pack it up and dispose of properly. I saw a video on social media of a woman who was doing this, and somebody had to call her to order that, no, madam, what you're doing is wrong. But how are we teaching new tricks to a dog at 50? It's a serious issue. While the government is trying, they can do better, they can do more, we as individuals also have to take responsibility for our waste management. The government is not going to come to your house to dispose of these things properly. Even when they have mechanisms in place for people to come and pick up your waste, you still do need to put it in the appropriate place. Nobody is going to, the PSP is not going to enter your gutter to be picking bottles or enter your sewage or things like that. We have to do the right things. And Nigerians and Lagosians especially also have to develop a way where we separate our trash so that it makes recycling easier for the government.
Sorry, I'm laughing at separation of trash because we've not even put one trash in one place. Anyways, you've already talked about the role of citizens because it's actually where I was heading towards. When you woke up, when you drive along the road around, let's say 4, 5, and you're driving, everywhere is still quite dark, and you just switch on your headlamp and you just see butt cheeks across a particular dark arena of people just peeing or open defecation, and not confirmed that this was one of the things they suspect increased the cholera outbreak that Lagos just faced. And these are main concerns. And when we talk about what exactly, are there punitive measures or are there stringent, I know there are laws. We have so many environmental laws that needs to be enforced to ensure that people pay for their actions when they don't do the right thing as regards cleaning in Lagos. Because naturally, something should tell you. I remember when we're younger, there's this culture of they make us speak and put it in our bags.
Yes.
Even till today, when I eat something, I have to put it, I either put it in my pocket or I put it in my, somewhere. But it's like that culture has been eroded and everyone is just behaving the way they like.
Well, let me shock you. I did a piece on social media talking about how we have to take responsibility, and just like you said, if you eat stuff, you need to take the wraps. If there's nowhere to dispose around, you put it in your bag. When you get home or you get somewhere where there's availability of disposal, you can do that there. And fellow journalists came for me saying it's not their responsibility, it's the government's responsibility. I remember a time where even inside commercial buses, we had waste bins in there.
Yeah.
And I made reference to that. But then again, I said, if you were to be, let me even ask you, Niyi, if you were to be a passenger in that commercial bus, and then you're seated behind the driver, and the waste bin is right in your face, would you feel that you have the same value for money as other passengers in the bus? Now, that defeats that purpose. So that means that we have to take responsibility. You see people eat roasted corn, and next thing it's out the window from inside the vehicle.
Roasted corn?
Maybe because these are things I've seen quite recently, so it has stuck in my head. But we need to change. We absolutely need to change.
Is there a way we can enforce, particularly that for people who are selling, especially for people who have disposables, after people consume the content, who are selling, you tax them for taking proper care of whatever disposable it is that are dropped in their arena, and make them even pay for it. Because if you're selling something like a pure water, then you should probably be doing something about your surrounding, cleaning it up.
So as much as I would say that the government is not entirely to blame, right? I feel like when it comes to the government, they have a lot of initiatives when it comes to these things, but the approach is my problem. Like, you know, this environmental sanitation, we're talking about it the other day, and I'm like, I've never seen it work before, because you say I should stay in my house and clean. How do you know I'm cleaning? I can be in my house watching Netflix and chilling. I can be playing football and doing things like that. So as opposed to that, how about what you said, you know, people are throwing trash on the streets. There should be punitive measures. There should be things that are done. Give them community service if needed. And that can only be done, like Bettina said, if they have proper, like, if there's nowhere to dispose trash. A lot of people will give that as an excuse, like there's people who did not make provision. So let it be that on the government's part, they're doing their own, and then we can now say, okay, it's because, like it or not, it's both ways, right? Like you said, there are people who have refused to grow to believing that you can actually trash things. It's not, you would not die if you put things, you know, in the right place. But it now comes down to making sure that there's an availability of, you know, places where these things can be trashed. Because some people will now give the excuse that, no, I don't, Lagos is already smelling, so I don't want to add to it, you know, I'll be a good citizen, maybe go and dump it somewhere in the gutter or something. But that's also detrimental.
But can I also add that I've also come to realize that as individuals, as human beings in general, we don't function well if there are no rules and regulations in place. It's, for instance, when we say, oh, use the pedestrian bridge, and people cross, and then they're apprehended, and they're made to pay a fine. The next time you want to cross the road, you think twice, because how much money do you really have in your pockets? The only language people understand is when you threaten them with the source of filling their tummy or their pockets. So I feel like the government has to come to a point whereby if we catch you disposing trash improperly, you will be fined.
Yes.
Apart from the community service, you have to be fined, because when money comes out of your pocket, you feel the pain. And then next time you will do the right thing and even advise your neighbor who is doing wrong, because why? You can also be implicated by that.
Just the same measure they are putting in place when you cross the road without using the overhead bridge.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'd just like to have your final opinion on these. Should the monthly sanitation be restored in Lagos State? I remember there was a time we were doing it, and I think they took Lagos State to court and said it's impedes your fundamental rights and all that. But in your own opinion, do you think monthly sanitation should be returned to Lagos?
I do think the sanitation should be returned to Lagos, but however, I don't know how the government will maneuver that, saying that this lady already took the case to court because of infringement on her human rights, which is true. You cannot tell a person to just sit down, and because it is not a law. Now, unless the Lagos State government is going to find a way that the Senate will pass it and, you know, make it a definite law, yes, he's governor, but the word of a governor does not make
a thing, a law.
Yeah.
It has to be law for people to be able to obey it, and it's
And
the law of
you
the
can
land. There's
enforce
nothing
it,
you
yeah.
can do. But if you're just enforcing based on I'm the governor, then it becomes infringement on human rights.
Yeah, so when we're discussing this on Jasiri, I think it was Tolu or Lolo, one of the ladies brought a suggestion, which I think is a brilliant. Like I said, my only problem with, these government initiatives is the approach, not exactly. The intention is nice. So as opposed to forcing everybody to stay at home and clean, where you know that they're not cleaning, right? How about you just make sure that there's an agency that goes about inspecting these houses.
But that's what the governor is doing. So
that's what they said they want to do now.
That's what they want to do. Every Saturday they go around to different locations and sensitize the people on the importance of keeping their environment.
So it's not even just the sensitization. This thing we're saying about making people pay. Enter the compound. You find any dirt, you find them.
Oh,
it doesn't,
fantastic.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter whether or not they cleaned last month.
Or maybe they are
there shouldn't be a general day for cleaning. You take the initiative. If they come here and see this thing. So every day, it's not even now every Thursday thing, right? It's like every day, no, pick this up.
Anytime,
they can come at any time.
Yeah.
So they're not announcing the time, but they enter a compound, it's dirty, they find everybody. That's the approach that I think can work, right? If not, first people to say, you just see old men playing football outside.
Why are you now specifically talking
it's true,
about
because
that?
that's what happens on the streets. It's just less traffic,
please, we
people
need to
playing
go.
football.
I think they're just attacking men. But anyways, the word out there is that we all should keep Lagos clean because it's our city, and of course, for our own sake, for our health, and we need to make sure that Lagos is clean and safe. Thank you so much, Bettina, for being on this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.